Hello! Welcome to my evaluation question 1. Yay. I'm currently shooting this in the office and the storeroom of Costa, where I work and where I've put together most of my trailer using the Wi-Fi in here, so I thought it was appropriate that I shot it here. Plus it's a nice quiet place. But, okay. When I started making my trailer, I already knew that I wanted to go along with the genre of comedy. But when I looked into it, I realised that comedy has quite a few subgenres. Like you've got black comedy and so on. So I looked into the films that I like the most, the films that I find the funniest, and wanted to see what kind of subgenre they fit into. And I found that there's a subgenre called realistic fiction comedy, which basically means that although the events are slightly exaggerated, the stuff that happens in the film really isn't that unlikely. Like, it could happen. Like, for example, Superbad, I use that a lot as inspiration, and the main storyline of 3 kids using fake IDs and trying to get alcohol to go to a party really isn't that unrealistic, even though a lot of stuff that happens to him is a bit far-fetched. The basis of the story could happen to anyone. So I went along with this genre of comedy. I like this genre because the audience can form close connections with the characters because they'll empathise with what they're going through. Like any teenager watching the 3 main characters in Superbad struggle to get alcohol is probably going to empathise with them, because it is pretty hard to get alcohol when you're underage. Say no more. So I looked into a lot of existing trailers like Superbad, Juno, Role Models, 21 Jump Street, which was a very, very big inspiration for the plot of my trailer. And I looked into the conventions of them and I put them into little categories. So, category number 1, location. A lot of teen comedy features high school environments. This also fit in with my idea that we have the corridor police, so I did do a lot of my filming in school, which can be seen as lazy, but I did do it on purpose because it does fit in with the convention that teen comedy does feature a lot of high school environments, and it fits in with my plot really well. And school was a pretty useful place to film in because when I had free periods, my actors did as well, and we could easily go and film off and it wouldn't take too long. Since my audience is in the 16 to 24 age category, I thought that pretty much they'd identify pretty well with that school environment, and the fridges are being loud. And the stuff that goes on, like people running down the corridors and people dropping litter. It's really not that hard to imagine when you're at school yourself. You know how rowdy the corridors can be. And the idea of having a couple of corridor policemen is pretty funny. Well, I think it is anyway. Number 2, camera. The real trailers often use a lot of medium shots because it means that you can capture people's facial expressions easily, and I did go along with this. For example, when you see the corridor police giving the 3 girls their speeding ticket, I'm using a medium shot because you can see how serious the corridor police are, and then how the girls aren't really taking them that seriously at all and they think they're a bit ridiculous. I wanted to capture the fact that people really don't respect the corridor police. They think they're important, but they're not really. But I also used quite a range of camera angles because realistic fiction comedy tends to go along with the action quite naturally, whereas I wanted to vary my shots quite a bit. So you'll often see in existing trailers, you'll see over the shoulder shots, you'll see shot reversals, so you can see conversation from different points of view. But I wanted to bring a bit more variety in. So I used a low angle shot when you see the 2 corridor police looking at the litter, extreme close-ups of the litter, extreme close-ups when they're getting ready. I wanted to do this because certain angles, like the low angle shot, creates comedy because it makes them look powerful. You see them from below and they look like positions of power. This is sort of parodying the fact that they're not really that powerful at all. And the extreme close-up of the Freddo, it emphasises it as though they're on about this big thing, this diabolical thing that's on the floor, and then you see a close-up of it and it's really not a big deal. Number 3, typography. Is it number 3? Yeah. In existing trailers you often see a lot of bright colours with the fonts and a lot of bold fonts. I went along with this convention because I feel like I wanted to establish a feeling of action, a feeling of the film being quite in your face. So, you know, when the title, "Now It's Their Time to Shine," comes up, it zooms in on it. It's in big capital words right in the middle of the screen because it emphasises it as an important change in the trailer. Party Police comes out at you, it's in bright blue, it's in capital letters, because I wanted to give the trailer this feeling of confidence and a feeling of being out there. And I wanted to reinforce the fact that the film has quite a lot of action in it and it's quite big and bold. So I did go along with this convention of real comedies because I thought it fit in well with my trailer. Before, the characters. Realistic fiction comedies, you typically have a few types of characters. You've got the idiots, the stupid people that get themselves into ridiculous situations. You have the regular people, where stuff seems to happen around them and they're a bit unlucky, blah blah blah. And then you have the smart, socially awkward people that don't quite fit in. And this is the one that I chose because the corridor police clearly don't fit in that well with their peers. They've established themselves in this position of authority that no one takes that seriously. They wear very smart clothes. But then I also challenge this convention because when they go into the parties, they get drunk and they join in. So I kind of took that typical character type and twisted it around a little bit, and that's the main comedy in it, is the fact that they do what is not expected of them at all. So hopefully audiences will find that quite funny, that they don't expect them to go in and get drunk. They're meant to shut the parties down, but they end up joining in and getting drunk. Number 5, the costume. I dressed my characters quite smartly. I asked my actors to bring in shirts that they could tuck in and jumpers that would look quite smart. And I also put them with their badges on and their whistles to show that they take their job pretty seriously. And then when they go into the parties, I wanted to show that they made an effort, but also the fact that they're not that aware of real fashion. For example, in Superbad, we see Jonah Hill's character going into this party thinking he looks pretty cool in this shirt, where he actually looks a bit like a cowboy. And that's kind of funny because he's trying to make an effort to impress this girl that he likes, and he just looks a bit ridiculous. So when I put my characters into the party scenes, I did take away their badges and their whistles, but I didn't have them wearing particularly bright clothes. I didn't have them wearing bold logos like the other people at the parties wear, because I wanted to sort of distance them a little bit from the partygoers and highlight them as being kind of awkward people that don't have that much of an idea about fashion. It also shows that they could be trying to blend in, like they're making that effort, but they don't know enough about the trends to fully blend in. Number 6, the transitions and the pace. In pretty much every single trailer that I watched and analysed, you have the disequilibrium that's established, like 21 Jump Street, they're given their undercover mission to go into a high school. Role models, they're sent into sturdy wings to look after these 2 little kids. After this disequilibrium comes in, the trailer often picks up in pace. The transitions are a lot faster, you've got different shots coming in, sort of a montage, short clips. I did the exact same thing with my trailer. When they're given their mission, the trailer speeds up a bit. You have "Now It's Their Time to Shine," it comes up on screen, and then you have unarmed, undercover, unprepared, flying in with wipe transitions, which helped me establish a change in the time, also helped me to pick up the pace a little bit. I think I edited each one so it only lasted 0.5 seconds when it flies in, because I wanted to really speed it up. Like in the beginning, I've established the story. These are the corridor police, they're a bit geeky, they obey all the rules, and then they're sent into the parties, and it gets a bit faster and you get a bit more action in it. If you watch the trailers for Superbad or Role Models or anything, you'll see that they're pretty much the same. I went along with that because I think it's pretty effective, because you get a variety in there. You establish your story and then you show the audiences quite a few funny clips. I think it advertises the film well, so I went along with it. Music. One tool that I noticed the comedy trailers often used was a pause in the music to emphasise a funny moment. So if a character said a particularly funny line, the music would pause, and there wouldn't be any background music when they say that line, because it really highlights it as a funny moment. This often makes me laugh when I watch these trailers, so I thought I'd use it in my own trailer when I film the Freddo Rapper, because it's an element of surprise when you see the party police looking down at the floor and talking about something that's diabolical and shaking their heads at it. You're expecting something pretty bad to be there, and then it's a Freddo Rapper. So Hopefully that pause in music allowed me to highlight the moment as something that's quite ironic and funny. And when I showed audiences this part of my trailer, they all laughed. So that's the response I was aiming for. I'm glad I went along with that convention, because I think it's a pretty useful tool for highlighting certain moments within your trailer. I didn't follow all the conventions of music in comedy trailers, in that they often use popular songs that will be quite well known, like hip hop or rock songs. Now there is one reason that I couldn't do that, because I couldn't use copyrighted music and I had to create my own. But I think if I had the choice now between this copyrighted music and my own music, I would still use my own. Because I think that the beginning of the trailer, when I have those hard guitar sounds coming in, it makes it seem like something really serious is going to happen. And then it's sort of, I defeat that expectation when you see that all it is these corridor police stopping people from dropping litter. So I think that makes it seem quite funny, because the music sets you up for something serious when it really isn't. Same with the party scenes. Like, if I used well-known songs, like hip-hop or rock music, I think it would make the party scene more serious, whereas the 80s music I used, like the synth keyboard sounds, made it all seem quite silly, which I think makes it funnier. So in going against that convention, because I had to, I think in the end it was actually better off for my trailer. I think the music gave the trailer quite a retro feel, and it makes it stand out well. Plus the fact that my trailer relies pretty heavily on the pauses and the dips in the volume of the music, so by creating my own I was able to manipulate all those elements and make the visual elements fit in with the audio and make the dialogue fit over the background music well. Also, it's pretty fun working with GarageBand. It's a pretty good program to use, so I enjoyed that. And that is all my 7 sections, my codes and conventions of real media trailers that I either went along with or I didn't go along with. But in everything I did in my trailer, I was trying to create comedy for my audience. I was trying to appeal to my target audience. I was trying to challenge myself a little bit, and challenge the codes and conventions of comedy as well as using some of them. So hopefully in this video I haven't babbled on too much and I've made my points clear.